Hello everyone, welcome to my class. Myself Janisha from Sciences of Composite PU College, Vijaypur. I am dealing with economic subject. In the last class we have discussed about the classification of data. In that we learned that what are the types of classification of data. And also we learned that there are four types of classification of data. And in this today's episode we are going to deal with the types of classification of data, and also will elaborate these concepts. So then first one, types of classification. So the raw data is classified in various ways depending on the purpose. So on the basis of a particular purpose the raw data are classified. So they are chronological classification, spatial classification or geographical classification, qualitative classification and the quantitative classification. So these are the types of classification of data. Now dear students, let me discuss one by one. First one, chronological classification. So then what is chronological classification? Data which are classified either in ascending or in descending order with reference to time, such as years, quarters, months, weeks, etc. They are called as chronological classification. Or chronological classification means the classification of data which is based upon the time. So here on the base of time, that is year, week, month, etc. So as you know that chronology means what? That is time. So here the time which is based upon the ascending or the descending order. So the data which are classified on the basis of chronological aspects or on the basis of time. So that is what? Chronological classification of data. Now we'll discuss this chronological classification of data with the help of following example. Dear students, here just observe here, according to the chronological classification of data, you just observe the year, right? So here the years which are arranged, see here 1951, 61, 71, 81, 91 and 2001. Yes, so this is what in ascending order arranged. And also what here it is, we can observe that population. That means the data. What is data here? The population. Yes, the population is what? Data. So according to the year, according to the ascending order of chronology, so here the population is what? That is arranged. So that here easily we can observe that according to the chronological classification of data, in the year 2001 there is a highest population, and also in that we can here easily recognize that in the 2001 census population was highest, and in 1951 the population was low. Yes, so that means here in the chronological classification of data, if that means in the chronological classification of data we are not facing the problem like confusion. Yes, easily you can recognize or easily you can identify, so which is highest population, which year highest population, which year deals with the lowest population, so like that. So this is what the chronological classification of data. Thus we can say that chronological classification of data is nothing but the data which are classified on the basis of time. And also the variable here. What is variable here? Population is variable. The variable population is a time series, as it depicts a series of values for different years. So this variable is called was population. So that population is what? Time series. So then what is time series? The time series is nothing but the data which are based upon the particular time. Okay, that is what? Year or month, week, like that. So that variable, that means population, is a time series as it depicts a series of values for different years. And also chronological classification is a time series data. That means a set of observations on the values that a variable takes at different times. That means at the different times a set of observations can take its value. So that is what? Time series data. Okay students, so this is what the chronological classification of data. Second one, spatial classification or geographical classification. The data are classified with reference to the geographical classification or the geographical locations such as countries, states, cities, districts, etc. So they are called as spatial classification or geographical classification. Dear students, so what is spatial classification or geographical classification? That means the data which are classified on the basis of geographical locations. Okay, the data which are classified on the basis of geographical location is called spatial classification or geographical classification. For example, the locations such as countries, states, cities, districts, etc. Okay, so now let we see here. Now let me discuss this with the help of one example. See here example number 2, which shows the yield of wheat in different countries. See, different countries means that is what? Spatial classification of data. So that countries like Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Pakistan. So these are the different countries. Yes, the yield of wheat per kg or hectare, that is what? You can observe that 3594, that is in Canada, and yield production, that is in China 5055, and in France that is 7254, and Germany 7998, and in India 3154, and also in Pakistan 2787. So these are what? This is the yield of wheat that is in different countries. And while making this spatial classification or geographical classification, here we can easily recognize so which country has produced more quantities of wheat, and which countries has to produce lowest or low quantity of wheat, like that. So easily we can, by watching this table, we can identify that here Pakistan has produced, that is low quantity of wheat, and also country like Germany, so that will produce highest quantities of wheat. So this is what the spatial or geographical classification of data. The third one, qualitative classification. Then what is qualitative classification? So the classification of data on the basis of attributes, so that called qualitative classification. The attributes is nothing but nationality, literacy, religion, gender, marital status. So these things called as attributes. So the data which are classified on the basis of attributes is called what? Qualitative classification, and they cannot be measured. So this qualitative classification, this cannot be measured, at these attributes can be classified on the basis of either the presence or the absence of a qualitative characteristic. So that qualitative classification means the data which are classified on the basis of attributes like, that is nationality, literacy, gender, marital status, religion, etc. So this you can observe in the census of India. right? Now this can be explained with the help of following example. So in this example we find population of a country is grouped on the basis of qualitative variable, that is, or attribute, that is gender. Just observe here, this population which is classified into two attributes, one is male, another one is female. In that, male married and unmarried, and also in the female attribute again married and unmarried. That means what here, the classification of data, that is on the basis of attributes, so that is further divided into different sections. So this is what the qualitative classification of data. And fourth one, quantitative classification. Then what is quantitative classification? The data which are classified on the basis of quantitative aspects like height, weight, age, income and marks of the students. So this is called what? Quantitative classification of data. Dear students, don't be confused. Qualitative classification means what? The data which are classified on the basis of some attributes, right? Quantitative classification of data means what? The data which are classified on the basis of such some aspects like height, weight, marks of the students, age, income, etc. That means the numerical expressions we can observe here. So this is what? Quantitative classification of data. Take for example the marks of students in a classroom, or height of a person, or age of students in your, or age of students in different classes. So these are the example for quantitative classification of data. Okay students, so these are all the types of classification of data. Dear students, just revise everything once again. First one, chronological classification of data. Under the chronological classification of data, the data which are classified on the basis of, that is, time series. And also second one, spatial or geographical classification of data. There the classification of data on the basis of, that is, a particular what? Locations like country, district, country, states, districts, etc. Yes. And third one, qualitative classification of data. Here the classification of data which are based upon the qualitative aspects, means attributes like gender, status, marital status, etc. And also, and fourth one, quantitative classification of data. Here the data is based upon or classified on the basis of the quantitative aspects like height, weight, marks of the students, income, etc. So these are all the classification, or these are all the types of classification of data. Okay students, now okay students, next remaining we'll discuss in next episode. Now we'll move on some exercise questions of this episode. Question number 1. What is spatial classification of data? Question number 2. What is chronological classification of data? Question number 3. What is qualitative classification of data? Question number 4. What is quantitative classification of data? In the next class, we'll continue further, and everybody please solve this exercise questions. Thank you.